Hi, Karina.
Hello, Kim, and hello, everyone. Here today we are doing something special. So we are going live today, Wednesday, the 23rd at 12 p.m. East Standard Time. I am just giving few seconds so the system show us who is connecting with us today. Today we are doing something different on this week as well. So first, I would love to say thank you for all of the people who are connecting or are about to connect with us today. Feel free today, comment below any questions you have for us in the comments here, and we are going to take a few minutes as well to answer them. So, first, I would love here to introduce Kim. Kim is our first guest. This is the first time we are doing this here in Chatting with Karina and Living Without Limits with Karina Seda. So, be with us today as well. And here, we are going to talk about what does oxidative stress has to do with stroke. But first, few things to share today. So Kim, let's I would love to first tell a little bit more about yourself. Kim is a neurofeedback practitioner. She is a TBI caregiver as well and a biohacker. A lot of interesting things to share and learn about Kim. So, Kim, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, Karina, I spent about 38 years in technology businesses before I started looking at ways to improve health naturally. And that kind of came to me because I was forced to take care of my own health. Mine was not related to a stroke, but it was related to a blood disorder. And the blood disorder could lead to heart attacks or strokes and even to leukemia or bone cancer. And so I was diagnosed with the disease in 2003, and I was put on oral chemo to manage my platelet counts, which are our clotting factor, which has to do with strokes and heart attacks. I was on oral chemo for about 10 years when I first began to learn about oxidative stress, and that was in 2013. So since then, um, I have found some things that have been very, very helpful in managing both oxidative stress and emotional stress having to do with my blood disorder. I also have become caregiver for Blaine Benson, who some may know from another TBI, Healthy Alternatives Facebook group. And together we have explored all of these issues around wellness and um, good brain health and the things that affect brain health and what we can do about them. And we've found some very effective therapies for that.
Very, very interesting. And again, a lot of things to share as well, right? And learn about this topic. So I know you mentioned oxidative stress and these things that also has to do with our health, with our wellness. So
Yeah.
why we don't start by sharing with here all of the people here and the community what is oxidative stress?
So to put it simply, oxidative stress is an imbalance between free radical damage in our body and our ability to produce enough antioxidants of our own to manage that imbalance. So it's a very delicate balance between free radicals, which cause cellular damage, and our ability to manage that cellular damage through the production of our own antioxidants. So free radicals happen as a result of breathing oxygen. Oxygen has it's a molecule that has two electrons in it, and one of them can can break away as a result of the metabolic process of processing oxygen and just about everything else. And then that one that breaks away runs around making damage. And scavenging, looking for other electrons because they like to be in pairs. So it's very scientific, right? And it's kind of complicated, but that begins to happen in our 20s just as a natural course of aging. And depending on how much stress we have in our lives, what kinds of other things may happen to us, that we can have more of that or less of that. But until we're in our 20s, generally speaking, our body manages that by producing our own antioxidant molecules in a high volume to keep cleaning out the damage that is caused. It's all part of the metabolic process at the cellular level. In our late 20s, our ability to produce those antioxidants starts to diminish, and the free radical damage starts to build up. And what's in the middle there is the accumulation of oxidative stress, which builds up everywhere in our body. It can build up in our joints. It can build up in our vascular system. It can build up in our gut. It can build up in our brain. Oxidative stress is directly linked to aging and chronic inflammation and disease of just about every type you can imagine.
Wow, yes, and it makes me think that I know that we are going to talk about what does oxidative stress has to do with stroke, but also by looking at of so many ways, right? That it's could affect, right, or is involved in our body. It is not just for a stroke; it is also for everybody, right?
It's
When we are at work, we already experience stress. Our
absolutely,
routine.
yes.
It's everything. It's like as business owners, everything. So it involves our life.
So it's not for no reason that it is said that stress kills. Okay. So stress comes in many, many forms. It can happen as a result of trauma in childhood. It can happen even before we're born. If our mom is under a lot of stress, maybe in a bad relationship or has other issues going on in her life, that can be stressful for the baby in utero. It can happen because of accidents. It can happen because of a very difficult job. People go to war. Stress happens in war, obviously. It can happen from injuries. It can happen from bad relationships. You name it. Stress is happening all the time. Now, it also happens as a result of breathing oxygen, and it's from the metabolic process. So if you think of every cell in your body as being a little metabolic engine, think of it like a car engine. That engine needs fuel. That fuel comes in the form of oxygen and nutrients from the food we eat, okay? And when it goes into the cell processes it, and as part of processing it, the cell spits out exhaust, just like a car does. And that exhaust is free radicals and oxidative stress. So every cell in our body, it's a two-edged sword. We have to breathe to live. We have to eat food to live, but there's this metabolic process that's happening. And as we age, that metabolic process starts to slow down, and then the damage starts to accumulate, and then you can begin to see the effects of aging. Usually by our late 20s, we start to notice that people are looking a little bit more mature, and that process, so we grow until we're in our 20s. But once we get into our 20s and this diminishing effect starts to happen very gradually, now we're starting to age, and the stress is starting to accumulate, and the oxidative stress is starting to build up, and it can build up anywhere, and it's a very individual thing. For me, it caused a blood disorder, and it's also, I'm 65 years old. I may not look it, but that's because I'm managing it very well now, okay? But it can cause cardiovascular disease. It can cause cancer. It can cause arthritis, just about. So oxidative stress directly connected to chronic inflammation. Everything with an itis on it has to do with inflammation, and basically is the result of oxidative stress building up in our joints, right? So when people have strokes, and not always, but often it's the result of blood clots. And so what happens in our vascular system as oxidative stress begins to build up is, we can go from a nice, clean, open vein or artery. And as the oxidative stress begins to build up, those arteries start to close down because it's accumulating in the lining of the arteries. Okay. So when that happens, now you have less space for blood to flow, more opportunity for clots to develop, and for clots to break loose. So think about maybe a bypass surgery. When somebody gets a bypass surgery, what's called a stent is put into the artery, or maybe there's a graft that's done. And so that graft creates a little scar tissue, which is oxidative stress. That stent can cause oxidative stress, scar tissue, which will build up around it. So again, stents only last a limited amount of time, and it's because those that oxidative stress starts to build up around them, and then they have to go in, they have to ream it out again, clean it up, put a new stent in, right? So all of that can happen as a result of oxidative stress, and clots can break free, make it to our brain, and now we have a stroke.
Yes, and that is, and that also remind me that it is everything like a chain, right? And one thing goes to the other, and then we can jump in of the different type of a stroke, because it's not
Right.
just the clot, it's blood, but also there is the mini stroke, the and the hemorrhagic, when we have a bleeding, right? And so on and so on. We can extend a little bit more about those as well. But yes, it is very. I am curious. I know we have been talking about how, but in particular, can we share with survivors here who are watching this video as well, how not just the what, but how oxidative stress, right, is involved in our journey post stroke as well.
Well, I mean, so oxidative stress accumulates in our body as a natural course of aging and or of, of living, basically, because we're breathing oxygen all the time. We have to have oxygen to live. And so that free radical damage continues to happen as a result of that metabolic process. Also, we're exposed to it if we happen to have a stressful life, right? Also, we're exposed to it because we've got lots of toxins in our life today. There's been something like 85,000 chemicals introduced into our environment since the industrial age. And there's a lot of chemicals in our food now, right? We have glyphosate and all these things in our food now. Those chemicals cause oxidative damage. Um, you know, our medical care system is the best in the world for acute care. But when we have to take pharmaceutical drugs for long periods of time, which was the situation that I was in, I had been on oral chemo for 10 years when I first started to learn about this science. And so oral chemo, it's synthetic, right? And so it does its own damage while it's trying to help us. And it worked, and you know, at least when I was taking it, and I'm not sure what the latest science is, but when I was taking it, that damage was global. I mean, the damage that occurred was at the cellular level, and it affected every cell, you know. So I think they're more targeted in some of their approaches now, but and they're getting smarter about immunology and things like that. But I have chosen the natural way. And I have found that there are natural ways that I can manage oxidative stress. And as a result of finding one of those ways, a very effective way actually, a way that reduces oxidative stress 40% in 30 days actually, I was able to start feeling so much better. My body quit hurting. You know, I started feeling so much better. I was able to stop the chemo about 18 months later against medical advice. I went totally against medical advice. That's what makes me a biohacker, right? I was looking for answers. I had a 15-year prognosis and I didn't want to die. And by that point, I was 11 years into it, 11 and a half years into it. So I finally said, I am just not doing this anymore. And I stopped the chemo. And I think what I have found, what worked for me, has kept me, I'm not cured. However, I am so clear of oxidative stress that I am not throwing clots. I have not had a heart attack or a stroke. My disease has not migrated into leukemia or bone cancer. And I'm now, 4.5 years past my 15-year Western medicine prognosis. So I've been very successful in doing this. And I also work with Blaine, and Blaine's got traumatic brain injury, and he's had many, many, many traumatic brain injuries. And so he had a lot of inflammation in his brain. When you have a traumatic brain injury, you have inflammation that occurs as a result of the initial impact of the injury, but also that sets free all these free radicals, and that inflammation builds on itself over time in the brain, and it can be very hard to manage that because we have the blood-brain barrier. It's designed to protect our brain from foreign substances, and so any kind of medication we might use has to break through that blood-brain barrier and can do damage. And but if you find something that can actually turn your body back on to produce its own antioxidants, those antioxidants will clear that damage, that oxidative damage, reduce the inflammation, and you start to get rid of the brain fog. You start to have better ability to concentrate, to focus, and to live your life and stay healthier and avoid new events, right, that might happen as a result of just continuing to age. Because now your body, instead of having all of this oxidative stress, you've turned on your body's own ability to produce its own defenses again. And so you get this effect where the oxidative stress is coming down, the distribution of those defenses is coming up, and you get back into balance. And really, you get your body so clean, it's like that of a teenager again. And you can keep it there. And that way you can avoid the effects of further, I won't say you can, but it's the best hope you have to be able to continue to have a healthy life and a better quality of life and more energy and more focus and better sleep and better mood, because that pressure in your head creates a lot of tension, a lot of issues having to do with sleep, having to do with PTSD type reactions to life, to emotional responses, to the ability to talk, right? I know that you had some issues with spasticity that improved. So, there's more out there than we imagine. And
Yes.
it doesn't have to be chemical.
Yes, definitely, and the best way, right? And here for the community, what one of the questions we have here is this done with eating certain foods? And that is the questions we have in the comments today.
Okay.
And for answering that, I would love to mention that what best to do, doing all this organic as well, that everything is natural, and even better, right, having that guidance to be able to accomplish all of these things little by little. It is very, very helpful for us today as well. So one person here posed, is this done with eating certain foods?
So that's the way we've thought we needed to do it. And that's why we have a huge antioxidant supplementation industry now. It's like $52 billion people spend on antioxidant supplements. The problem is that most of what you find on the shelves, a lot of what you find on the shelves these days has a synthetic element to it to formulate when it's formulated. And even if it doesn't, when you take an antioxidant, an over-the-counter antioxidant, or even eat a whole food like a blueberry or a strawberry or whatever, right? The effect that has is one molecule of that will take out one molecule of free radical in your body, and then it's spent, it's done. So while I tell people eat a healthy diet, it's better for you to eat a healthy diet than not eat a healthy diet. It's really not good enough to accomplish what we need it to accomplish in the way of managing that oxidative stress, because our body is producing 300 sextillion free radicals every single day. Okay, so the only thing that really can compete with that is our own natural production of antioxidants. These are big, big antioxidants. The most important one in our body is called glutathione. Some people may have heard of glutathione. People are starting to get injections of glutathione, which cost about $1,000 a piece. People will buy supplements of glutathione, but it's still foreign to the body, right? When it's your own glutathione, one molecule takes out 1,000,000 molecules of free radicals every second of every day, over and over and over again. So when we can turn on our body's ability to produce 300 to 500% more glutathione, imagine now you have a fighting chance against the accumulation of oxidative stress. And this is why when you do this, you start to feel so much better, because it becomes noticeable relatively quickly, especially for somebody who has health issues like this, because they feel it every single day. So for me, it took me about 6 weeks to start noticing the change. I know some people who have noticed it in a week. And in fact, we now have a combination of 3 activators that turn on that production of not just one type of antioxidant, but of antioxidants, multiple types of antioxidants, plus important proteins. So it's like 3 pathways in every single cell in our body. Our cells start working much more efficiently to protect us, to heal us, to slow aging, and to achieve all these great results, which are, a better mood, clearer ability to think, even sometimes clearer vision, um, just less headaches. Sometimes people suffer from headaches a lot, and that's because of that pressure that's created by the buildup of antioxidant damage in our brain and elsewhere in our body. So body aches and pains, they go away. And
Yes.
energy returns, right? You found that, right? Energy, better energy. Yeah. And I noticed it about 6 weeks. I woke up one morning and felt very, very strange because I felt so different. But the feeling, when I really laid there and thought about it, I realized that what had happened was all that body pain had sort of disappeared overnight. And I know it didn't disappear overnight. I know it was building, 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 or reducing, 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 really, for about 6 weeks. And then one morning I woke up and it was so profoundly noticeable that I sensed it right away. And not only that, I sensed that I had had a good night's sleep finally, because usually every morning I would wake up and feel like I wanted to go back to sleep, but I couldn't lay there anymore because my body hurt so much. So all that body pain was gone and I felt rested for the first time in years. And it was amazing. And then what happens is, it can reduce oxidative stress 40% in 30 days. And by 120 days, it reduces it 70%. And it's progressive. So I've been using these for 9 years now. I'm 4.5 years past the prognosis date that my doctors gave me. I haven't taken a pharmaceutical since November of 2014. I have great energy, great health, never had a stroke or a heart attack or anything migrating as far as disease. Um, I take care of Blaine. I take care of my house. Life is good. Life is very good. I didn't expect to see 60 and I'm 65. So,
Yes, there's a lot of benefits, and you remind me when I start, being active, right? When I start on this on the journey as well, thinking things that in 1 week I remember that I for myself, and again, as I shared with before in other life, we are all different. We experience, our body is different, the reaction is different, but it's a journey, right? It's a journey as strokes, as caregivers as well, here watching the video, and a lot of things to share as well. And so We are almost wrapping up. I want to keep inviting people who are connecting or watching this video from the beginning. Today we talk about what oxidative stress has to do with stroke, and also expand a little bit more what is oxidative stress. And few questions came as well, right? And we went a little bit deep about how right, it comes for us after a stroke or post stroke as well, and a lot of things. And I want to still invite everyone who is watching this video later to watch us from the beginning. It is going to be on my page, and I'm going to put it in Living Without Limits with Karina Seda as well, Facebook page. Please keep posting questions, and we are going to keep answering them in the comments. And as always, I want to invite you all to connect. We are not alone throughout to this journey post-stroke, preventing or becoming independent post from a stroke. So I am going to post a link as always in the comments below. Feel free to jump in to connect. A lot of interesting things to share with you all, to talk about in your journey as well. So a lot of interesting things today. Thank you, Kim, for taking this time with us and talk about, maybe we can plan another one and keep talking and sharing this with the community if they are interested, right, as well, to share this information and new interesting things. I know that I have been sharing, right, being on January being activated, right, and starting that journey as well. Few things I have shared, and I am going to keep sharing those as well. So I hope that you all enjoy today's time together, and keep posting those questions because we are going to answer them in the comments as well. So thank you, Kim, and thank you everyone who connect with us today.
Thank you, Karina, for inviting me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.